All right, let's go. Wake up. Wake up. Ah, okay. Boy, it's warm in here, huh? It'll probably cool off by the end of the show. All right. Oh, look at this. I show up on time and nobody's here. Ah, the one day I show up on time and nobody's here. That's awesome. All right. How did Maurice put it? They asked him, "What do you think about Spencer Knight's performance?" And I think he said, "I'm not gonna think about it. I'll just think about." He said, "I'll think about the shutout he just had while we're on the bus." Hey, Raven, how you doing, buddy? How you doing, Raven? Huh? Raven, what's going on with the Bruins, man? What's the deal with the Bruins, Raven? Are you guys gonna make the playoffs, or is it just by default because the rest of the Atlantic can't get their stuff together? I mean, you're ahead of the Lightning now. I mean, you got 4 games in hand, though. So there's that, right? Jeez. How'd you end up with 4 games in hand so early on? That's crazy. Maybe I haven't, to be honest, haven't watched much hockey at all. Yeah, I understand how that must. I can understand that at some point, you know, everybody needs. It's kind of like with football with me. It's like every once in a while, I just kind of have to take a year off because you can kind of just see what's fixing to happen anyway. It's like I didn't need to watch the game to know the Dolphins were going to lose to the Packers. I watched it, but Kyle hasn't gotten to the point of the abject resignation yet. And so when the Dolphins fumbled that punt, I just was hysterically laughing in the chair, and I think it bothered him. No, I don't think it did. I know it did. He was irritated by my hysterics. I got to open up this window. I left this heater on too long, and it has got to be 80 degrees in this room. Stand by. Okay, let's let some of that hot air out of here. Give myself a little bit of oxygen. Okay. Oh boy, I won't leave that open for long. That window's blowing. Hey Jackson, how you doing? So, where did that put Pittsburgh? Aren't the Penguins now? Where are they? Yeah, they got 26 points. 1, 2, 3, 27. 1, 2, 3. Geez, the Penguins are almost in a playoff spot. It's so tight, right? It's so tight. I mean, just look at the Metro. I mean, fourth place is the Rangers at 27 points. The Islanders are in last place with 25 points. I mean, the whole division literally is anything can happen. It's crazy. The only team that's really out of anything right now, Canadians, Senators, Wings, Sabres, pretty much. Sabres and Wings could make a run, but I doubt it. Raven says the Dolphins surprised me this year. Thought they would have made a deep run. They can't. They're not built. They're not built right. You have to have a combination of a GM that knows how to find good players from outside the organization, but also that knows how to draft properly. And the Dolphins drafting has just been bad for basically decades. Basically. Jimmy Johnson was pretty good, at least on the defensive side of the ball. But the last few GMs that we've had, the drafting has just been, you have your couple of hits here and there, but offensive linemen, secondary players, linebackers especially, just terrible, terrible, terrible drafting. So I think Kyle expected a deep run as well based on how he did last year. But you could smell it. The team, the whole structure of the Dolphins is shot. So what do we got? We got the Flyers tomorrow. Yeah, I guess all those Metro teams. That's one of the things about playing the Metro teams now is, and even the teams on the bottom, they're all right there fighting for the 8th seed. So, and they're smarter veteran teams, right? Like, especially the Penguins and Islanders, they know that the points are important every game. So I think January is when we're going to play a lot of Metro heavy games. We've got the Canadian trip coming up next week. That's going to be, some of those games are going to be really, really late. Like, I think I saw one that started at 10:30. The Kraken starts at 10. Canucks start at 10. The Flames start at 10. And then it's 8:30 with the Oilers and then 9:30 with the Wild. My God. So if the game starts at 10, let me see, a normal game that starts at 7, the recap is up about a quarter till 11. So that's 3:45. So 10, 11, 12, 1. Come on, the recap will be up like a quarter to 2? Ah, jeez. Yeah, I'll have to sort through that. At least we don't have any back-to-backs there. At least it's every other day, right? Let's see. Yeah, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18. And then, wow. So we have that long trip, and then we come back against the Blues, and that's the first home game back after a long road trip like that. That could be an interesting game, to say the least. And then play back-to-back against the Lightning, 22nd, 23rd, home and home. And then we have our few days off for Christmas, and then we've got that long home stand, which is good. And then we go back out west for a little bit. So going to be some late games. I know Nick is going to be doing the game on the 18th. Still got to talk. I mean, we've talked about it. We still got to finalize it. I know he's going to be doing the game on the 18th. Might have him do another game in there. We'll see. We'll see how that works out, because Kyle's used to staying up till 2. There may be a game or two where Kyle just has to do the whole thing. How about we have Kyle do the stream and a recap? Who wants a Kyle recap? Wait till I bring up that idea to him. I should run a poll and say, for the late games, should I have Kyle stream the whole game and do the recap? Would he even know? I mean, I could show him how to work the camera. I would have to edit it and put it together in the morning. But yeah, maybe I'll do an intro for him, and then I go to bed. I'll do the intro in the pregame, and he can go into the recap room, and he can do the recap. We'll have him do that. I like that. I like that idea. Yeah, I don't think he's going to like that idea. I don't think he's going to like that idea one bit. He was surprised last night. We talked about it during the stream. Because, every time we streamed, Panthers have made a Stanley Cup final. I told him last night, I said, if we get knocked out, the Panthers get out, eliminated in the first round. I said, we're still streaming 2 series per round. And his reaction, it was very obvious that he was not, that he had not sorted through that. He had not figured that out yet. Because we've streamed for 2 years in a row, and it just so happens the Panthers went to the Cup. Now, if they do it again, I mean, I guess I have to, no matter what, every year, if they win the Cup, if they keep going to the Stanley Cup finals on the years when we're streaming all the games, I suppose that, like even if I won the lottery, even if I won the lottery, but the Panthers had won the Cup, I still had to stream the next year, because then it's like it would be my fault, right? It would be my fault for not streaming if I stream 3 years in a row when they win the Cup and they go to the Cup all 3 years, and then they win the lottery, and then I say I'm not streaming anymore, and then next thing you know, they don't win it again, or they don't even make it to the finals. That'd be my fault. So no, we'll have to keep it going. We'll have to keep it going. But he's good. He does a lot of work for me. So I can't genuinely complain about it. But Maurice was not happy at all about um Knight's play last night. I know some people, there were a lot of people in the chat that weren't happy with how he played. It's one game though, right? I even was arguing with my dad about it. And my dad, like I said, my dad don't even watch the games. He just watches the score go up on the scoreboard. He don't even watch the games, right? So what's he at now? Now he's at a 260 goals against and an 896 save percentage. But he started the game with a 911 save percentage. So that's a loss of 15 percentage points off his save percentage with that performance last night. But when you look at the game logs, the number of goals he's given up 4, 3, 3, 2, 3, 2, 2, 0, and then 5 last night. Yeah, because they count the overtime goal against them. That sucks. I mean, I guess it counts, but it should be a separate. Does an overtime goal still? God, his save percentage was 688 last night. Look, I don't think 3-on-3 overtime goals should count against the goalie's statistics. Am I alone there? Am I the only one who thinks that the overtime 3-on-3 goals should not count against the goalie's stats? It's designed for everybody to score, right? Craig says now Lotto wins live broadcast even on the roadies. Well, Craig, that's not even a joke. I already told Kyle about that. If we won like Lotto, I couldn't do it if we won like $500,000, $600,000. So I take that, no doubt. That would solve my entire life. But like if we won the big one, like 260 million, right? Absolutely, we would be. I can tell you right now. Well, I was gonna say we'd get the Winnebago and I'd hire somebody to drive us from game to game, but I wouldn't be able to drive to every game. Like we'd have to fly. I'd have to have assistance, right? I mean, there would be a cameraman, editor, there would be a driver, assistant. I would probably have to have like 3 people that I would pay a hefty sum to come around with us. And so that all I had to do was go to the games, be on camera, and then everything else in terms of editing and making travel arrangements and all of that was somebody else's job. But yeah, we joked about it, but that is exactly what would happen. Is we would follow the Panthers everywhere, and I would just become an annoyance so much to the team that eventually the guys would just have to give in and accept me as one of their own. I would be uncredentialed media following them around because I don't even know. Does George follow them on the road trips, or does he stay in Florida? I think he stays in Florida, right? Right? Craig says Spencer's still very, very good. The boys just haven't really backed him up with scoring. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Kevin says they do, but you can also just check regulation stats. Okay. Kevin says I need a badge for all the subscribers who were here before you made it big. I don't know how we would do that. I don't know how. I mean, it's not a bad idea, right? Because we went from like 750 to 1,000, and then with the whole Kachuk thing, we went from like 1,500 to like 5,000 in like a week. That was a good week. That was a good week. It was weird though, because it wasn't all Kachuk people. It was at the right around the same time that happened. One of the fluffy shorts got like almost 1 million views. So it was like all within the same month. We went from like 1,500 subscribers to like 5,000 subscribers because of the Kachuk thing and this one fluffy viral short. It's weird. Hey, JC, how you doing? Greg says, have Randy and Goldie's travel guy hook me up? Yeah. Great White. Now he's been in the league long enough now. He should be getting better by now. What do I? Well, I do believe he has gotten better. I do believe he has. Last night was just not a great game. If you watch the rest of his games, he's been on his angle. He's been strong in his movement. He's been really good with his rebound control. I honestly, last night was pretty much an anomaly so far for this season. And it's going to happen, you know. And I mean, look, the one shot from the weird angle, I mean, he didn't even see it. Schmidt was standing right there. The Malkin goal, I mean, yeah, I could say I'd like him to come challenge the shooter, but it's Malkin left alone right in front of the net. I mean, the other team's got good players too, right? And the same thing with the overtime goal. Yeah, you'd like to see him make that glove save, but I mean, we had a 3-on-1 that Forsling stopped. The puck comes all the way back down. Chucky, I think, misses the net. Puck comes back again. Now it's a 2-on-1, and Forsling was gassed and did everything he could. And basically, Rust had a clean angle, clean shot. I don't necessarily. I think a lot of circumstances conspired to make last night look worse than it was for night. If he had put 3-4 games in a row like that, yeah. But the last 3 games before this game was 2-2 and a shutout. So I think I agree with Paul Maurice where we just take that game, throw it in the garbage, and move on Thursday night. Kenny says the Sharks beat the Caps last night. They're suddenly rolling. Of course, they're getting ready to play us. Right? That's good, though. That'll make Nick happy. Middle says Knight has been the most consistently good thing this season. Had a bad night last night. Same thing happened with Stolars last year. Yeah. Steven says the Letang goal bothered me. He lacked any urgency on that one. I just don't think he saw it. I don't think he expected a shot to come at that moment. I mean, you're the goalie, so you should be expecting, right? But it just from the angle where Schmidt was standing, and Letang shoots that puck 100 times, maybe it goes in twice. You know what I mean? From that angle in that situation. I think if I'm thinking for Knight, Schmidt is standing there at the side of the net, so close to the net that I think Knight kind of figured there'd be no reason to hug the post. Hey, thank you, Great White. Thank you, Great White. Much appreciated, buddy. I tried to get this in late last night. I appreciate that, brother. Much, much appreciated. Meadow says, didn't like the first or fifth goal on Knight's part. Right. Jackson says, I don't understand the hate Knight is getting. I don't understand it either. I don't. You know. Jackson says, maybe coincidence, but once Mackey had to come out of the lineup, we lose. It's true. It's true. Have we won a game without Sam Miskevich this year? I think this is the truth. I think every game he's been out we've lost except for the shootout. I honestly think that that's true because we had been winning. He didn't miss any games. We had been winning games. Then Maurice took him out. We won the shootout. And then we lost a few games in a row. And now he's back out again. I don't know that we've won a game with him off the ice except for the shootout game. Jackson says we have 100%. We have 100% have a winning record when Mackey is in the lineup. Well, there you go. Let me close this window now. I've let enough of the 28-degree air in. It got too hot in here. Oh, that's better. Oh, I am so sore. I've got to stop forcing myself to do the third day in a row with the gym. I was so proud of myself that I was going every day. I made it 17 days in a row until my body gave out on me. And now I kind of I need to just do 2 days on and then take a day and just do my walking and do the sauna or go for a skate or something. Because today was 3 days in a row and I went and I got about 3/4 of the way through my workout and all my shoulders and arms said stop. They just my whole upper body just cramped up. And of course, I'm doing this stuff at night too. It might have had something to do with last night lifting for the 4 goals. Hey, Michael says that game was my fault. As soon as I turned on the game, the Penn scored twice. When I turned off the game, the Cats came back, and I turned it on, the Penn score. Sorry. We all have nights like that, right? We all have nights like that. Hold on a second. Metal says, took being down 4-1 for the guys to wake up. We were getting shots, but there's no traffic or physicality, so Jari was seeing a lot of muffins. Hey, at least Chucky's starting to wake up, though, right? Right? Chucky's starting to wake up. Okay, Ekblad wasn't Superman last night, but he's been better. We need another defenseman. We need losing OEL and Montour. It's too much. It's too much. Like this team with either one of those guys right now next to Mikula, chef's kiss. Good to go. Because then you've got Kulikov, Balinskis, Schmidt as 5, 6, 7, and Boquist doesn't even see the ice until number 8. Losing both guys was, I get it, nothing we could do about it, but we are going to have to replace one of those guys before the playoffs if we want to win the cup. Hey, Adonis. Yeah, Craig says it was good seeing the fire in Chucky post game. Yeah. I'm happy that they didn't like losing that game. I really thought we were going to pull it off. Even at 4-1, I thought about it for a second. I thought about taking the rally caps off, but Jackson says, do we have any good young defensemen that could come up and play soon, not counting Ovis? Michael says, I'm telling you, Boquist is not that bad. He's too small. He's too small. He's it's not that he's that bad, but he's just too small. He could fit on a bottom pair with a dominating, like if you had a guy, like if we were so good that Mikula was on the bottom pair and it's Mikula with Boquist, okay. But I don't know, he just reminds me of Josh Mahura at the end where it's just like a little bit too scattered. A little bit too scattered. Great White, yeah, I think Bob comes back on Saturday. Cuban says, Jaws, I should rent an RV with Kyle and drive across the United States every day filming. I would bank. I can't do the driving. I've thought about it. I've thought about it. I would have to have enough. I would have to have somebody that I would hire. I would have to hire somebody. I couldn't do all the driving and the filming and the editing and all that anyway. So I would have to hire somebody that would be like an assistant, like we talked about above. If we won the lotto, yeah. I talked with Kyle about it, and I kind of said it as a joke, but he kind of liked the idea. I know he says Gudis and Boquist. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Meadow says Boquist, the 26 second and something else for Rasmus Anderson or Connor Murphy. It's I hate complaining about him because it's not that I don't like the guy, but we're trying to win another cup. You know what I mean? We're in a different position. If this was just one of those years where it's like maybe hope we make the playoffs, maybe we're developing something, then fine. But we're trying to win another cup. And we're gonna have to go up against Boston, Tampa, Toronto, the Canes, maybe, right? We're gonna need some size back there on defense. And I love Kulikov. Now Schmidt's been pretty good. So if you ever decide, it's weird. He started off the game last night with Mikkola and Schmidt, and then he moved Schmidt back down. So Maurice is obviously tinkering because he's uncomfortable with something that's going on out there. Belinskas had looked good to start the year. Last couple of weeks has not been great. But you got to have that one more heavy duty, strong, box a guy out in front of the net, the defenseman for that bottom pair. That's just how I feel about it. Jackson says, can we even afford anybody at the trade deadline this year? I mean, it depends on what we want to give up. Samoskevich isn't going to go anywhere, but would you possibly move Sordiff? If you think that you're going to maybe keep and develop Jesper Boqvist, then I think Sordiff becomes expendable. I know they're not quite the same kind of player, but between Samoskevich and Boqvist, you've got guys that you can move all over the lineup and have success with. Boqvist does struggle a little bit boxing guys out in front. Jesper, I'm talking about. But Sordiff is a guy that we could probably maybe move on from. Not that I would want to, but if you're talking about, and again, excuse me, it all circles back to the same thing I keep saying. Are we keeping Ekblad or not? Because if we're keeping him, then you're not going to give up too much because the guy that you're getting in, you probably won't be able to pay. So Frank says both Boqvist and Belinskas have offensive upside, but they both suck defensively. Comparatively, for what we need, right? Let's put it this way. You wouldn't want them both on the ice at the same time. Cuban says, I'd say the time now is the trade night for a stud defenseman, a young defenseman. I don't know, man. We've invested so much in him succeeding Bobrovsky. You know what I mean? We have invested. When you think about it, not just the money, but the players that we have not signed or lost because we're trying to hold on to Spencer Knight. If we then go trade him, it kind of makes all that what we did not worth it. And the other part to it is that then what? You know what I mean? Then what? Bobrovsky and what? I mean, we need a good backup goaltender. Knight has been good for us so far this year. This is really his first bad game. So, yeah, if you trade Knight and you get a stud defenseman, okay, great. But you need a backup goaltender. And I am not about to trust Chris Driedger. Driedger was good for us, but that was, 4 years ago? Right? He's not been good since then. Right, yeah, like what Craig is saying. Got to keep Knight. Driegs isn't Stoli. Exactly my point. We lost Stolars in part to keep Knight. You see what I'm saying? So I think the time if we were going to move on from Knight, we should have done that during the offseason. Then maybe we could have kept OEL or kept Montour with Knight's money. So I think they made their choice and they're going to see it through, in my opinion. Fly Guy says, I have a belief that a good goalie on a struggling team will want in. But we got to be able to pay him. We got to be able to pay him. That's the thing. Remember, Bob still got this year and next year on his contract. Moving Knight for a stud defenseman, well, you got to pay the defenseman too. Michael says, Olvis and Jesper want to play the system and work harder than most. That's more important to Maurice than if they fit physically. When Balinskis is good, he's good. He's had a bad couple of weeks for whatever reason. I wonder if he's nursing an injury or something, because he had been really, really steady for us. So maybe there's a little something going on there physically that we don't know. Now, Jesper, his effort level, right? He's gotten beat a couple times in front of the net playing defense, but he's a forward, so it is what it is. So, hey, Dave. Fly Guy says, Puckpedia, we got $1.5 million. I'm not sure how that works. I don't want to look that up. I'll have to look that up. It doesn't make any sense. I'm not saying that you're wrong, but it doesn't make any sense if we have 1.5 million. Why we would even need to send Samoskevich down for salary cap reasons. You see what I'm saying? It doesn't make any sense. If they're saying we have 1.5 million in cap space, then we should have been able to just call up Drieger without having any. Fly Guy, current cap 900,000. Right. Okay. Yeah. So then we didn't have enough room to buy 25,000 because Mackey makes 25,000. Right. 2.9 at the deadline. But that all changes too, though, because I lost my train of thought. Oh, because teams will hold teams will retain salary based on what we give them. Right? Frank says trade night, a first and a few prospects and Ekblad for Crosby. The hell we want Crosby for? Go forwards are not our problem. We need a defenseman. Get Alex Lyon back in Florida, right? I think, Kenneth, I think we're on the last year of the Yandle, and so what are we using now? Puckpedia? Is that what we're using now? I hate that. Let's see. Let's go to Florida. Come on, find it. Here we go. Okay. Let's see. I used to know, cap friendly right off. I knew, yes, so deadline cap space 2.9, current cap space 902. I don't see any dead cap. I don't see any dead cap. But it's laid out differently, right? To go Branson. Yeah, Jack says, anybody up for some LTIR shenanigans? I like that idea. I absolutely like that idea. I'm trying to see if we have any dead cap here. Yeah, we're on the last year of the Yandle hit. This is the last year of the Yandle hit, $1.2 million. So, yeah. And I don't think, let me see, next year. No, next year, it doesn't look like we have any. The way it's laid out is not great, but it doesn't look like we have any dead cap for next year. I think Logan Thompson should have been the backup for Team Canada instead of Aiden Hill. How I haven't. I mean, I know Logan's been playing pretty good. Logan has been. I'm not happy about all of that too. By the way, that article came out today. We're gonna have a bunch of players that are gonna play in those games, which means they're not gonna get rest. That's a little bit frustrating because if any team needs their players to get some rest, it's the Panthers. Dog says trade the Rangers night for Shesterkin. He'll take whatever we can pay to get him out of there. Ain't going to take more than Spencer Knight to get Shesterkin. Unfortunately, you'd have to trade. It would have to be Ekblad and Knight because there's you got to sign Shesterkin before Bob's contract is up. Frank says next year we'll have $19.5 million with the cap going up. We can definitely trade for a stud defenseman and sign Bennett. Yeah, no, we got plenty. We got money. It's just a matter of if they're going to let Ekblad walk or not. But Bennett's going to be. I don't have any concerns. Bennett will be signed. What it's going to be, I don't know. Remember, we got to pay Mackey too, but you're only going to give him, like we talked about the last time. Hell, we could just pay Mackey with losing the Yandel buyout. What did I say yesterday? 2.25, right? He's making 900 now. So just the Yandel buyout money, you can give Mackey 2.1 if you're going to give him that much. They gave Luosterainen 1.5. I think they did with Luosterainen and Lundell. They did 1.5, and then they did 3. But the cap has gone up a little bit. So I would assume Mackey's going to get a little bit more than a 1.5. So 2. 1.75, 2.25, somewhere in there. Yeah, the Leafs are in first place because of games in hand, right? Yeah. But, I mean, we're tied, and they've got games in hand. So, I mean, that's first place. That's 2 games in hand, right? And winning percentage too, right? Well, either way, 6 of one, half dozen of another. But we both had the same amount of regulation wins. So, no, Leafs are in first place. So if the playoffs started today, the Leafs would be playing the Flyers. If the Leafs started today, the Leafs would be playing the Flyers. What do you think about that, Dave? What do you think about that? Because it's just Leafs, Panthers, Bruins. The Lightning are technically out right now. The Rangers and Flyers are in the 7 and 8. So it would be Leafs, Flyers, and then it would be Panthers, Bruins. I'm down for that. I'm down for that. I'll definitely play Boston instead of Tampa, right? As long as Vasilevsky, it's like Tampa with Vasilevsky is like the Patriots with Brady. As long as Vasilevsky is around, the Lightning are going to be dangerous. And, they're probably sick of losing playoff series. Right now, they're not in, but long season. It is going to be a dogfight at the end for the wild card spots because right now, if you count the Bruins, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 teams within 5 points of the 7 and 8 seed. So 2 of those 9 will still get in. That's insane. Did I see something here? Hold on a second. Hey, MJ, how you doing, buddy? Thank you, MJ. Thank you, bud. And he says, happy Wednesday, Jaws. On break right now at work. Tough loss last night, but we'll be back We will bounce back. Headlines in a second. Thank you, MJ. Much appreciated, brother. Metal says Kevin Stenlin, Kesserling, a 26th third for Bolquist, Nosek, Bolquist. Jeez, that's too many players. Boy, I love Stenlin. That's a lot of players, though. That's a big that's like a Jenga trade, Metal. That took some effort. That took some effort. Michael says the last few Stanley Cup winners have all kinds of cap caveats and dead cap space from where they won the cup, and they're still dealing with it. Right. Yeah. I mean, luckily, all that's left for us is the Yandel thing. Fly says, you think we need goaltending and a replacement for Ekblad on the top pair? I mean, I don't. Ekblad's not going anywhere during the regular season. That's just my opinion. I think if you move Ekblad, let's put it this way: you could move Ekblad for Cale Makar. You still need a top four defenseman because you're just going to go Forsling, Makar, Mikkola, and question mark. You see what I'm saying? Unless you're gonna, you see what I'm saying? Even if you move Ekblad, you got to pair somebody with Forsling. You could get, best defenseman in the league, but you still got that hole next to Mikkola that needs to be filled if we're going to win another cup. Michael says that Yandel dead cap is nothing compared to the Golden Knights or Lightning or the Avs. No, I know. It's true. That's because we have a good GM. Right? And a lot of that stuff had gotten cleared out using players. Right? So, like, we got out of Dave Bowen by losing Lawson Krause. Right? We were able to get out of Mike Matheson and get Patrick Hornquist in return. Mwah, beautiful. Those are two guys that we definitely would have had to have bought out, most likely. Right? Talon's leftovers. What did Frank say? Yeah, if it was only we would keep Owen Tippett, he would have been able to play 4th D. He's big enough. Frank says we should trade for Tavares, make the Leafs retain half, and then play the Leafs in the second round, beat their ass, and make them watch Tavares raise the Stanley Cup. Sorry, Dave. We need a defenseman. You bastards. We need OEL back. Hey, thank you, Dave. Thank you, bud. Thank you, Dave. Just breaking news in Canada. Snow with a chance of even more snow. Is it going to be one of those years? The one winter I spent in Alaska was like record-breaking snow. It was insane. Absolutely. Michael says, how is Zito not winning GM of the year? He's the only GM not abusing the LTIR loophole. He's a massive dead cap debt and won a cup. The reason we've been given by the prominent elite hockey media is his drafting has not been as impressive as some of the other GMs, which is garbage because Lundell was his first pick, Samoskevich at this point now, and he's blocked his own draft picks because he's just so good at finding guys on the waiver wire, right? And making trades. That's what I was told by multiple people, Michael, was that the reason why he doesn't win is because his drafting has not been, his players have not been abundantly what's the word I'm looking for? Instrumental in our success. And they just ignore Lundell. Right. Donnie says, I'm going to say it, Lundell better than Lafreniere. I won't disagree with that. Lundell is one of those guys who just plays his role perfectly. You see him flip the switch when he needs to fill in for Barkov. Silva says Zito isn't the GM of a fan, isn't a GM of a team with a fan base that's taken seriously. Right. Hey, thank you, MJ. Thank you, buddy. Thank you, MJ. Much appreciated, brother. All right, let's see. Headlines. Let me put it over here so I can read it. Headlines today. Micah Hyde resigns with the Bills. Tyler Seguin out 4 to 6 months with hip surgery. Yikes. Lindsey Vaughn coming out of retirement. Joe Burrow bought a Batmobile, and rest in peace, Debbie Nelson, a.k.a. Eminem's mom, died. Oh, that sucks. That sucks. Dang, man. So Micah Hyde comes back for another playoff run. Joe Burrow bought a Batmobile. Joe Burrow is he's a weird dude. He's a weird dude, but I guess when you make that kind of money, right, and you kind of look like Tom Cruise had a baby with Uma Thurman, I guess you can do whatever you want. Damn, Eminem's mom, that sucks. She can't be that old, right? I mean, Eminem's what, my age? I guess she could have been in her 80s if she had him late, right? Eminem, how old is Eminem, right? Man, that sucks. I thought he's 52, so he's a year younger than me. She was 69. Damn, that sucks, man. That's young. MJ says Joe Burrow lifted the city of Cincinnati spirits 2 years ago, so you'll give him that. Yeah. I mean, the dude is literally Dan Marino at this point in the sense that he just throws for 300 yards and 3 touchdowns, and they lose. I watched Marino throw for 400 yards and 5 touchdowns and lose more than once. I've seen it. It wasn't pretty. It wasn't pretty. Are there any easy picks for the games tonight? Let's see what's on the menu tonight. Bruins and Blackhawks, Predators and Maple Leafs. That's probably easy money. That's at Toronto. That's got to be an easy pick. Stars and Kings, Golden Knights and Ducks. Yeah, if somebody gave me a free $100, I would put it on the Leafs. I don't know what your return's going to be, but that seems like that's easy money. The Leafs beating the Preds. The Bruins and Blackhawks, if you take the Blackhawks, there might be a nice return on that. Because that might be Bruins might actually be favored in that, but the Blackhawks have been pretty decent about beating teams. Hey, thank you, Frank. Thank you, brother. All right. Thank you, Frank. Much appreciated. Let's see what we got. You said headlines for Miami. 70 in blue skies. Hookers walking around. Hookers walking around with hard titties. And we're the Stanley Cup champ biatches. Frank, man, this is early. Frank, you got to send me some of whatever it is that you're smoking at noon, man. That's awesome. Thank you, Frank. Oh, Dave says, as a Leafs fan, I don't bet on the Leafs because it's the Leafs. Yeah, it's kind of like I don't bet on the Dolphins, right? Yeah. Thank you again, Frank. Michael says it's all easy money tonight on parlay picks. Yeah, you know, I did the betting thing one time. I signed up, I put my $100 in, I made a few good bets. I turned it into like 126. And I said, I think I'm going to quit. I quit while I was ahead. So, because while I could see how you could do well doing it, I could also see as soon as I started doing it, I could kind of feel like how easy it would be to just start spending way too much time on it and chase money. Like I was always a blackjack player, and I was very, very good about playing by the book and knowing when to leave. But the sports betting is just like there's just so many options. It's just like you think you've got your picks, and then they'll put up a banner that says, "Hey, do you want to bet $10 on Sam Reinhart to score a goal in the second period?" And you're like, and you'll spend 10 minutes thinking about it, and it's just like it was too overwhelming for me. It was just too much. It was just too much. So I stopped. I cashed out and stopped. They said they don't bet on the Leafs because they lose and they're favorites to win. MJ says I could never do those side bets. Yeah, it was all the side bets that it just seemed like too much for me. You know what I mean? Pick the Panthers to win, pick this one to win, pick that one to win, and then it's like, hey, do you want to parlay this? You want to pick the Panthers to win and Reinhart to get a goal? You want to pick the Panthers to win, Reinhart to get a goal, and Chucky to get an assist, and then the payout's just like this enormous amount of money, and I could see where it could get like addicting. What's consuming? That's the word I'm looking for. Like I could see how somebody with my personality could get consumed by that. And then the other part of it is the time on the screen, because you're reading all of the things and you're looking at it all. And next thing I know, by the time I'm done playing my bets, 2 hours have gone by and my eyes are like saucers because of all the looking at the screens. Michael says, I bet on Nylander, Matthews, and Nye should take more than 2 shots. Huh. Interesting. Dave says, speaking of betting, I think it's uncool that everything has become betting ads. I know there's a lot of people that kind of feel that way about it. I get it. I get it. I do. I have a lot of self-control. So I can see how, and I'm aware that I have a lot of self-control and discipline that way. So I just assume that I can understand the opposite of that, or somebody like my brother Gene. Don't bring Brother Gene to the casino. I mean, I've watched him lose hundreds and hundreds of dollars at blackjack. Roulette, he wasn't, or no, not roulette, craps. Oh my God, but blackjack especially, because what he would do is he'd put $10 down and lose it, and then put 20 down. Lose that, put 40. He would chase hard. I once saw him lose $300 splitting 10. This was at Lucaya in the Bahamas, Lucaya Casino. I don't know if it's still there or not. He lost $300 splitting 10s because the dealer pulled a 7-card 21. I watched it happen. He split the 10s, dished it out. I think he had 18 and 19, and then the dealer rode a 7-card 21, and Brother Gene lost 3 bills. And then we left. And then we left. Hey, thank you, MJ. Thank you, MJ. Thank you, bud. He says, since we're talking betting, for those that do so, which city do you prefer casinos and sports books, Vegas or Atlantic City, somewhere else? The only ones I've ever gone to are in the Bahamas when I was a kid. I have not, since gambling became legal, I haven't gone. And we got like the Dover Sports Book Casino right there. I'm supposed to take Kyle, but I got to wait till I've got like $100 that I just like don't need. You know what I mean? I don't want to go with like, well, I would pay the internet bill with this, but I'm going to gamble. I can't do that. I'm not capable of doing that. So I've been kind of waiting to take them. But I have not been to any of the last gambling I did was we would go to the horse races and the puppies, see the dog races. But you're talking about when I was 18, 19, 20 years old. I haven't been the last casino I was at was when I was 22 in the Bahamas. And I wrote about that in the book. I wrote about that in the book, right? The MJ, oh, what was that like? It was a whole different world. It was a whole different world. You're talking about before customs was really even a thing. I mean, you had customs, but let's put it this way. Gene and I would go, we'd fly out of Fort Lauderdale, we'd get into Freeport. We'd have our bags, duffel bags, suitcases, or whatever like that. We'd get there, customs would unzip them, and they would like kind of like touch your top clothes and be like, okay, have a good time. They didn't check nothing. There was no metal detecting. They didn't check anything. And they didn't ID us either. I was playing in the Princess Casino when I was 15 years old. Before I could drive, I was playing in Princess Casinos, Bahama. And nobody carded you, nobody ID'd you, nothing. You just go and you have a good time. They didn't care. Same thing with getting the free drinks at the club. 15 years old, we give them our room card. They never got ID'd, not once. It was a whole different world back then. You could bring anything in and out. No, they didn't even check anything coming into the United States. They didn't check anything. There was nothing. And then you just had like a fold-up table with a couple of guys wearing security guard uniforms when you got to Freeport. And they would just kind of touch your stuff a little bit. And if nothing blew up, they just assumed that, they didn't care. Never once did they like lift up the clothes and look through. No, never once. Never even thought about it. Yeah, a whole different world back then, right? What did Michael say? He says, 1,000 a hand playing multiple hands is like the middle of the day thing for me when I live next to the casino. Yeah, that's what Brother Gene would do. Brother Gene, the best thing he ever won was he won a motorcycle at in Brevard. I don't know what it's called, but it's in Brevard County. I don't even know if it's still there or not. But it's in Brevard County. It was the horse racing track there. And I don't remember if it was 2 trifectas or a quadfecta with an extra parlay in there somewhere. But he literally won. He literally won a motorcycle, and then he didn't want it, so they just they gave him the cash. They gave him the cash. He basically sold it back to the dealership. Silva says, "What did we trade for Letang?" I don't know. I kind of thought about that last night after he scored. What we got to get for him? I mean, what do we have to give for him? Right? How's his defense? He's no youngster, right? I haven't watched him play enough, obviously, lately to know. If he has enough gas left in the tank and Pittsburgh wants to deal him, is he on the last year of his contract? Well, let's look at that. He's 37 years old. He's got to be on the last year of his contract, right? No. He is signed through 2027 at $6 million per. Yeah, 6.1. So no. That definitely that's not happening. Not in this lifetime. Nope. Michael says, give Brother Gene your info so we can hit it up the Hard Rock. Well, he lives in Melbourne now. He lives in Melbourne now, which is better. He is a recovering gambling, not what do you call that? Gamblers Anonymous. He's recovering. It's not safe for him to go in. Like, the dude that like can be sober for 20 years and walk into a bar, have one drink and be done with being sober. That's how he is. He has to stay away. He absolutely just can't do it. He blew. I didn't want to get into it. Let's just say he got a big separation payment from the Navy when he got medically retired, and he didn't buy a house with it. Let's just put it that way. He didn't buy a house with it, and he could have, but he pretty much gambled it away. So yeah, no, he absolutely has to stay away from it, or he will. He used to do it when he was in the Air Force. He'd still be bringing in, $3,000 a month, room and board taken care of. And last week of the month, he'd have no money. He'd have like $5 because he would have gambled it all the way. So, yeah, no, we don't even talk about him going to the racetrack or anything like that. It's just not good for. He chases it too much. He chases too much. It's unfortunate, but we're like brothers, best friends, right? So a lot of times it's the opposite. You know what I mean? So I've got like all this self-control when it comes to that stuff. I enjoy it. I was really good at blackjack. There's only one time I threw my money away at blackjack, and it was because of a girl. I used to be able to take, because my parents owned a business that did the printing for Princess Casinos. So anytime on the weekend I wanted to, I could fly over for free, leave on a Friday afternoon, and come back wee hours in the morning, because they'd put me on standby. The planes were never full. So I could go over to the Bahamas Friday night and party for literally nothing, just taxes. And it's one time, I still remember it too. You're talking 30 years ago, more than that. There was this girl from Cincinnati. I don't even remember her name. I just know she was the girl from Cincinnati. And I was playing blackjack, and I had turned $100 into about $300. And she was into me. I was into her. There was a friction. And I blew it. I absolutely blew it. I just, under any other circumstance, I would have walked away and taken that money anytime. But for whatever reason, I don't know what I was trying to do, impress. I don't know what. I just got good girl, and I just frittered it all away. What did she look like? She kind of looked like Amy Adams. That was her, thin, shorter, very, very, very feminine. I just threw the money. I don't even know what I remember what I did. I mean, I know what I did, but I just kept chasing. I acted completely out of character. So that's just. Great White says gambling is like a woman. You'll never get back what you put into it. Oh my God. Well, I did with the sports betting. I did. I put 100 in. I got 126 back. I'm good. That's my whole sports betting experience, right? MJ says that'd be funny if I ran into her again. I mean, like I wouldn't even recognize her, right? Right? I mean, you're talking 30 years ago. We were about the same age. So, people look different at 50 something, right? So, all right, everybody. I appreciate it. Thank you all for joining me. Thank you for all the super chats. Yeah, great White with the truth bomb to end the stream. That's beautiful. Yeah, you ran into some beautiful women in casinos, no doubt. No doubt. Absolutely no doubt, man. All right. Thank you all again for all the super chats. Thank you for joining me. And yep, we will be back mañana. We got the Flyers. We'll be good to go. And I'll be here at noon for your therapy session. Till next time, like Dave says, go Leafs, go.